stuff, and this is really something that I'm excited to discuss with you, Cade. These Bitcoin NFTs are really interesting. And I want to just give a bit of a brief outline for anyone that doesn't know what they are, because they knew. And I think a lot of people are sort of hearing about it, but don't really know what it is. So I want to really just give a good explanation here, and then discuss it and see what we feel about it. But basically, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It's the largest cryptocurrency with the largest market capital. And until now, it's been very hard to have NFTs on the Bitcoin ecosystem, because unlike Ethereum, which has layer 1s and layer 2s, here Bitcoin is not the same. So when you look at Ethereum NFTs as an example, an Ethereum NFT is one that's not actually like immutable on the blockchain like Ethereum, right? It's not a part of Ethereum itself. It's not a part, you use Ethereum to buy it, but it's not a part of Ethereum. What these Ordinal NFTs are, is they are NFTs that are literally attached to 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin. So when you get that NFT, when you get it sent to you, you are actually getting a small amount of Bitcoin also, because every single tiny bit of Bitcoin, fraction of a Bitcoin, has got its own unique serial number. And the way that they're doing these NFTs is that they're able to attach an NFT to that address of that tiny piece of Bitcoin. So it is literally a piece of Bitcoin. It's literally Bitcoin with an image or whatever it may be on top of it. Now, there's definitely benefits to that, and there's also negatives to that. The benefit to that is that it is truly going to be there forever. So a lot of Ethereum NFTs are on a server, bro. And yes, the smart contract, which is a layer on the Ethereum blockchain, a layer, not the Ethereum itself. The smart contract assigns metadata to it and assigns it an address, but that is not properly on the blockchain. Whereas here, these Bitcoin ones they are forever on the blockchain, because they are literally a tiny piece of Bitcoin with something stuck on top of it. So that's the positive. The negative side to it, and there's a lot more positive. The other positive thing is you've got a whole market of very rich people who own Bitcoin, who would love NFTs, but are Bitcoin maxis and don't like any other ecosystem, which we all understand. We all have our favorite ecosystem. And now that there's NFTs on Bitcoin, they might be more than happy to jump into it, because that's familiar to them. So it opens it up to a whole new market that maybe otherwise wouldn't do it. The negatives are quite extreme at this point, because it's very new technology. The first negative to it is, unlike with Ethereum NFTs, where the user who purchases an NFT actually pays to mint the NFT. So the project founder's got a smart contract which sets up the rules for minting, but it's actually the minters, the customers who mint that NFT, who end up bringing it to life. They swap some Ethereum, and in turn for that, literally, this is written, and they now have an NFT. With Bitcoin NFTs, it works completely the opposite way around. Because it's literally attached to a specific hash, a serial number, the creator has to mint the NFTs. So let's say he wants to do a collection of 100. He has to stick 100 little NFTs on top of literal tiny amounts of Bitcoin on specific serials on the blockchain, which can be a little bit costly. And then there is at the moment no way to actually trade it effectively. So right now, if you wanted to not mint, but get a Bitcoin NFT, you would need a node. You would need your own, it would probably take you 10 to 12 hours to set it up. And it's all really hard to do. There's also no marketplace. So you would literally have to trust someone that they are going to send you what you're asking for, almost like an over-the-counter deal. You'll have to trust them that they're going to do it. You will pay them, and you hope that they're also going to get their serial number right, because they might send you the wrong one that doesn't have an NFT on it, even if they have good intentions. And once you have that Bitcoin NFT, you might, because it just shows as Bitcoin in your wallet, you might by mistake send that to someone as Bitcoin, Bitcoin and forget that it's got an NFT attached to it and end up sending them the NFT. So on top of that, because it's literally a part of Bitcoin, and on top of Bitcoin, there's no metadata, because the metadata is really pulled through from a smart contract. So metadata is the thing that tells you the traits and how rare it is. So like, 100 of these NFTs all have hats, but only one of them have glasses. That makes the glasses a rare trait. That's something that's really cool on Ethereum NFTs. Here on Bitcoin NFTs, you can't do that. There's no way, because there's no smart contract under it. There's no layer under it. It is literally Bitcoin. Now, with all of that said, I don't think any of this is insurmountable. I've no doubt that there's people, very bright companies working on a Bitcoin wallet at the moment, and a Bitcoin NFT marketplace at the moment. And if you are willing to put the time in the beginning now, you could really make a lot of money, because you'd be very, very early to something, right, that is brand new. You would get to know something that very few people can do, because it's very difficult to actually do this at this point, to make a collection and attach it to specific Bitcoin serials and things like that. So you would really be a first mover, and have a really good opportunity to be able to do some amazing things on it. So yeah, I find it very, very exciting. I really do. And I think that it's got a huge, huge potential. But we are super early. There's like no way to trade easily with this.
Isn't that weird thinking about that? Like, guys, for the first time that you've been in NFTs since you got into NFTs were the thing that were early. This is like the first thing that like isn't NFTs that people have all found and all started talking about for multiple hours now, actually a couple days. And it's still early because it's literally just so much damn work to figure it out. And the fact that there's no marketplace. Like if there was a marketplace, people would already be trading these all over the board, but there's so few players that if you do end up deciding to move forward with this and figure out the fucking node, I'm not going to, I literally just don't have the time to do it. If I was a straight up degen though, I would, because there's so many opportunities. The riskiest thing for me is definitely the Discord trading though. I do not like that.
Yes,
it's not it's not a real escrow that we have yet. You can just leave your money in, and unless you have a friend, then you know them personally and you actually know them. God, that's scary, man. That is scary not trading on a marketplace.
Yeah, 100%. And I see Crypto Dream's got a very interesting question here. He says, so how's a Crypto Dream? You were late, but so was I. So we equal. Does that mean that there's a limitation on how many NFT Bitcoins you can have? No. There's no limitation on it. If you want to drop a contract, let's just say, not a contract, a collection of 100,000 NFTs, as long as you are willing to put the work in, because that's hard to do, and pay the gas and the transaction fees, you could make a collection size as big as you want. But that's a massive investment. So typically you're going to see much smaller collection sizes, especially now when it's so much, it's so hard to do and will take so much time to do. You're typically at the moment seeing one of one and small collection sizes, which I actually like, because it means the project has to invest upfront and mint those NFTs, pay the transaction fees, put the money into the technology that's needed, to be able to do it yourself, which is almost like small Bitcoin mining equipment that you need. So there's a big investment, which means anyone who does it is quite serious. I think there's a huge opportunity for notable people in the space and notable collections in the space to launch a very limited edition Bitcoin version of the NFT, which they could sell at probably quite a high price.
Wait, do you know
and that will also help you go around the over-the-counter thing, because you trust, let's just say, Bored Ape Yacht Club, and if they are the ones handling it and sending it to you in their Discord, so I think there's a huge opportunity for projects at the moment to take advantage of this.
Yo, bring us to full screen real quick. Let me show you something. I just saw this. I'll just read it. That's stupid. I don't know why. Okay, sorry. So this came from Nick from the NFT show. All right. So this is from NFT Nick. So people are, and I'm quoting here. So people are paying for. Let me get a little restart. Here we go. So people are paying more for Bitcoin CryptoPunks than the originals. There are so many questions. The two main ones: does Yuga have to take legal action? Does provenance even matter? That's a fucking interesting question right there, dude. People are paying more for Bitcoin punks than the original. I mean, of course he said that because he has a punk, but like, wow, that's nuts, dude. That's actually nuts.
So Bitcoin punks are in no way related to crypto punks. I know you know that. I'm just telling the viewers, and that's why Nick is saying, will Yuga take action? It's going to be interesting to see whether Yuga has a case or not against them, because it's not on the same blockchain. So, and we're going to actually talk about the Rider Rips thing because that's a separate story. But it will be interesting to see if they do have the rights to it. I think the fact that these guys called it crypto punks on Bitcoin is just silly because that name is trademarked, and there could definitely be potential there for there to be legal issues. So I think it would have been so much better if they did their own thing, maybe just like completely their own thing, or even called it like lunks or stunks or bunks or whatever, just to avoid that, because there is that risk. But remember, this is now the first Bitcoin NFT. Bitcoin has got a market cap of whatever, 10 times, 15 times
Yeah.
Ethereum, right? So in theory, if a crypto punk on Ethereum could be worth $70,000 to $200,000, then in theory on Bitcoin, it could be worth 10 times more than that, because the blockchain is effectively 10 times more than that. Now, I don't know if it's 10 times, it might be 5 times, whatever it is. So I think that's the speculation that's going on with the Bitcoin guys. Also, Bitcoin guys have got access to a lot more money in general. Like
Yes.
they are billionaires, but like with a B. I think there are probably one or two multiple billionaires, like 10 billion, 20 billionaires, who have got a large amount in Bitcoin, are not interested in anything except for Bitcoin, your Bitcoin maxis, who now want to get into this NFT thing that they've been hearing about. So it's very interesting. It's really, really incredibly interesting.
Yeah, I like the idea of the Bitcoin. I just don't know the longevity of it, and I don't. The only thing that the highest risk for me for the longevity of this is how degenerate it gets and how quick it gets. If it turns into a straight up degen fest where Bitcoin almost like loses respect in that sense, like the culture around Bitcoin, the Bitcoin people get pissed, and it turns into a little bit of a blood war between people who just want money, which is everyone. Like people like to say, ETH people, Solana people, ADA people. I'm like, nah, dude. Everyone here just wants to get rich. That's the only thing that's keeping us all here. People go to Ethereum because they want more money. People go to Solana because they want quicker money. And so that's just how it is. And with Bitcoin, it's no different. I mean, yes, there are people who are Bitcoin maxis, but if there's opportunities in Bitcoin land, it does not matter if you're ETH or Solana, like they're going to run over there. And so that little mix of people who are Bitcoiners who are like, nah, dude, Bitcoin, like no utility, like gold, and like people who are just thinking about that and they don't want to build on it. They don't want any opportunities for people to build on it, which is literally what NFTs are, an opportunity to build IP on something that's already there. A lot of people are not fans of that. I think where there is opportunity or innovation will come in the same way that if life can happen, it will. If life can survive, it will try. I think it's the same with innovation and human beings. If Bitcoin can be built upon, I think it will be. I just don't know how legit it will be. Like I hope it doesn't compromise like the integrity of Bitcoin kind of thing.
No, I can't. That's already put in there. I mean, the really amazing thing here is that, in theory, if one could choose to have an asset, forget NFT, because if you say a crypto punk, what comes into it? Well, the originals are Ethereum ones. So let's just say any asset on a layer 2 on Ethereum versus literally on a piece of Bitcoin as a currency, there's more value to have it in the blockchain as a part of the currency instead of as a layer 2. And there's very few projects, very few. There are some. There's very few projects where the Ethereum projects, where the NFTs are actually on the actual blockchain. They're
Yep.
on a server somewhere. The smart contract points it to that server, which means in 100 years, 1,000 years, who knows, your image might still be there or it might not. However, with it being attached literally to the Bitcoin hash, that address for that tiny piece of Bitcoin, you are guaranteed that is there forever.
And I was going to add into that, like, so one of the main reasons I never dropped the collection last year, I was scared. B, I didn't want to. Like, I just didn't. I like being a YouTuber. That's what I want to do. I don't want to be a project founder. That wasn't my goal. But I was scared. Part of it, and the reason I was scared is because I knew how early we were. Objectively, I knew how early we were. Because we were so early, I didn't know what was to come, and I didn't like the idea that I was going to drop something permanent on the blockchain where there wouldn't be an opportunity to save it, potentially if there was something that went wrong. So that's why I was like, okay, I like these small collections. I can keep everything manual. I can get everyone's Discord manually, like one at a time, because there's literally 30 people in that Discord, and I can have all that I can have all the autonomy to do what I want and all the control when it's still small. And I didn't want to drop a project until there's a little bit more safety in that sense, and I was able to secure these things. And those kind of things scare me, because as we learn more, we go, oh wait, it's not quite that. Oh wait, you can't enforce royalties actually. Oh wait, so you can't do this, you can't do that. And now people are freaking out because he's got these collections of 10,000 people, some of which were successful, with thousands of people that are depending on you now, that if you make a misstep, it goes wrong, or you do something and now it's permanent on the blockchain. It's a huge risk to do, especially if you haven't built that IP and brand yet, which is why I think it is important to build that brand. If you're a content creator or brand right now and you haven't started brand building because you haven't dropped your project yet, or it's not marketing time yet, like, nah, fam, build the IP now. Build the IP now, because there will be mistakes inevitably. There will be things that happen, like when D-Gods and then bridged over to ETH. There was a lot of people that were not happy about that. It's fine now, but like those kind of things, like we never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting what Nick's saying. I mean, I would also be like, what the hell if I've got the original Ethereum CryptoPunk, and now it's on Bitcoin. It's quite difficult. The interesting thing is, let's just say that they're not allowed to do it. It's an infringement of Yuga, and let's just say that Yuga sues them. I actually don't know if they are able to reverse it, because I think it is truly immutable now on the Bitcoin blockchain. I don't think it's the same as the Ethereum blockchain. I know it's not the same, but I'm saying I don't think they can actually burn it. Whereas on Ethereum, you can, send it to a burn address or whatever. I don't know yet. I don't think you can. I think it's there forever. Maybe it all will have to be sent to one centralized wallet that gets on a ledger, gets put away. But if someone said to you, "Oh, you've got to send your CryptoPunk to me because there's a court case," screw you. You don't know who I am. I've got this Bitcoin in my wallet that's got a CryptoPunk on it. I'm not sending it anywhere, and that might make it even more valuable, because some people might send it and then there's less supply. So it's a different ball game altogether, and it's going to be really, really interesting.
Damn, dude. God, just imagine buying a CryptoPunk on ETH and then someone just buying a Bitcoin Ordinal, paying more for it. Now your CryptoPunks are at
and it's worth more because it's actually got a piece of Bitcoin attached to it. I think it's 1/100 millionth or something like that, the smallest amount that gets its own serial number, because every single tiny piece of Bitcoin or fraction has its own unique serial number. Yeah. So, and that's how it's stored. Otherwise, how do you ever track it? And that's why you can always see where it's moving. Every tiny amount, the smallest amount you can send, and you can send 0.00001 Bitcoin, and that's what you have to do. Yeah. But that particular Bitcoin through the nodes has now got this image of this CryptoPunk on it. So it's so interesting.
It is really interesting. Anthony Lewis, I saw your comment there. He says Bitcoin NFTs will become even more valuable because we'll only ever have 21 million coins ever, and will become rare over time. 90% of NFTs on ETH will go to zero. So kind of with my thinking, and I read Crypto Dream's comment right above it. He said he liked the way I worded what I said a second ago, with the fact that everything's permanently on the blockchain. If you make a mistake or a misstep, you got to fix it now. And with a big collection, that's very risky, right? The thing is, yes, like, the concept of like 90% of ETH NFTs would go to zero, I don't really agree with. And I think I know what he's saying, but the way that's worded is weird to me, because I'm like, well, if 90% of ETH NFTs would go to zero, we would just bounce over to whatever would make it not go to zero. Like, they would just have to move. And the ones that built the IP strong enough.
But he means exactly what Gary Vee says. Like, 90% of the collections that were launched in the bull market a year ago have pretty much gone to zero. I mean, it's already happened.
And so the chances of the Bitcoin NFTs sticking around because they are not infinite and there cannot, and like, well, I don't know. I don't know if for example, if we left all the Bitcoin NFTs, like today, NFTs just, human beings disappeared, or not human beings. If, how do I say this? Like, if we were to fast forward a year and and we just compare the Bitcoin in the ETH NFTs, I think, actually, I don't have I don't have one. I have no idea. I literally have no idea.
It's freaking interesting. It really is. So this CryptoPunk one, sorry, Kate. This CryptoPunk one is really, really interesting. So obviously not endorsed by Yuga Labs, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens legally there. And even if after a long court battle that's found in the favor of Yuga Labs, are they going to be able to act the way the court says and in any way get these off? I don't think they can. Right, so it's now available thanks to the Ordinals project, right? This project works by adding metadata to the Satoshis themselves, which is exactly what we were saying. Satoshis are just a small unit of Bitcoin, and that which creates the unique identifier for each Satoshi, resulting in them being non-fungible and trackable, similar to an NFT. The ability to do this was made possible by 2 updates to the Bitcoin network, SegWit in 2017 and then Taproot in 2021. So now the full collection of CryptoPunks can be minted right on the Bitcoin exchange, but it requires running a full node of the network to validate transactions. The project defines itself as the first 10,000 collection on Bitcoin. While the artwork has been pre-registered on the blockchain, which is what we were saying, they actually had to mint the 10,000 in order to do it. The Satoshis have not yet been tied to them. Anyone interested in minting a CryptoPunk on the Bitcoin blockchain can do so by inscribing a Satoshi with the artwork. Internet researcher who focuses on NFTs explains that the process is an interesting new model for enrollment. And look, I mean, they currently valued at the same as normal CryptoPunks, which is what? 70 ETH at the moment or something like that. So $100,000. So look, if you're willing to invest in a node, which is probably a couple of grand in dollars, and spend a good 2 or 3 days figuring everything out, your return on your investment, you can still mint one, is going to be huge. By the time you figure it out and mint one, are there going to be any left? I don't know. And obviously this is not financial advice, but they are currently selling for the same as a normal CryptoPunk, $100,000. And it will take you a couple of days and a couple of grand to get yourself one as things stand now. So that's interesting, Kate. That's really interesting. It's making me think maybe I need to call in sick and get a node and start minting a couple of CryptoPunks, bro.
I know.
And flipping them. I get $100,000 a pop, each one.
How much would you have to? How much is it cost to mint?
Well, you need to get a node, bro, which proper like machine and whatever. So a couple of grand, I would imagine that is, and some time. But then you have to find buyers, and remember, there's no like marketplace.
By that time, people might not give a shit, so it's really difficult. But I also see Crypto Dreams here. He said, what would you do with the CryptoPunk on the other chain? Like, why would you do that? Possibly permanently on Bitcoin too. Like every single chain has their version of punks and apes. Like Elron has the Elron apes, Elron punks. I have an Elron punk. Just because
Solana's got DeGods, well, had DeGods.
So with Bitcoin,
exactly. So why
more...
call it? But I'm saying, why call it? I agree with the Crypto Dream. Why call it CryptoPunks? Why not do completely different artwork and launch the first 10,000 collection on Bitcoin? That's freaking pictures of snakes. Who cares?
There's something I said on the stream yesterday that I thought was interesting. Like, what if so it was because Gary Vee popped up for some reason, and I was like, dude, what if Gary Vee never pumped punks in the beginning and instead pumped, like, I don't know, frogs or like I don't know, like a rock or something that wasn't a PFP, something that wasn't an avatar. Like, could you imagine like how different the NFT space would be if he didn't pump avatars specifically? I was like, oh my god, could you imagine we were all rocking like rocks or mat or moss or like fucking leaf blades?
But the interesting thing about these CryptoPunks is as of yesterday, there were only 1,100 of the 10,000 minted.
Yeah,
which means that if you know how to do all of this, right, there is definitely a massive opportunity here. And look, I think NFTs on Bitcoin are incredibly interesting, seem to have a higher collectability from the perspective that there's a limited supply, like Anthony was saying, and that they are literally ingrained on the Satoshi, on the transaction of the Bitcoin itself. I think it has a greater future. However, there's a lot of tools like marketplaces and ability to somehow have metadata and things like that, which are going to be very, very challenging, and a proper wallet to be able to see it in and know which one of your Bitcoin or which one of your Satoshi actually has the NFT on it. But I mean, assuming they sort all of that out, which you have to assume they will. And when I say they, I mean the developers out there, just normal devs and people who see this as a massive opportunity, which it is. if tomorrow there was an equivalent of an OpenSea with Bitcoin NFTs on it that could be easily transacted the way we can with Ethereum NFTs, I would rather have a Bitcoin NFT than an ETH NFT.
Damn, yo! Oh man, I thought I had I thought I had one of those buttons for like the ba 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 ba. That's
How's that? And I
right
mean
there.
it.
You mean that?
I mean it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So if someone came up
Because
to
of
you
the
today,
way it
hey,
is.
I want to give you a punk that you can't sell for a year. You have to pick one though. Do you want Nick's crypto punk from ETH, or do you want his counterpart on Bitcoin? You would choose the Bitcoin.
That's a great question. No. Hold on. I'm not saying no or yes. That's a great question because there's a lot more factors inside of there. Are they going to be able to solve these problems? Is there going to be marketplaces? Is it going to be able to have metadata and be displayed as a collection? I don't know that that's possible, the metadata side, because you need a smart contracts in that, and Bitcoin does not allow for that layer 2 the way that ETH does. So you're taking a big gamble now, saying send me a Bitcoin punk instead of an Ethereum one. The Ethereum punk we know will be worth something in a year's time.
Maybe.
The Bitcoin one could be worth 10 times that, or could be worth close to zero, depending on whether they can overcome these challenges. Now, some of them they can. I do think it's very easy to overcome the wallet challenge, for example, to create a wallet that nicely displays it and shows you which one of your Satoshis has an NFT on it. But as I said, the metadata and things like that, I'm not 100% sure. So it's a very difficult question to answer. If I was a complete degenerate gambler, I would say the Bitcoin one. If I was being more conservative and the safer, end of the year value, I would say Ethereum. The more interesting question would be maybe 10 years from now or 100 years from now. I think the longer the time frame goes that I have to hold it, the more bullish I become on the Bitcoin NFT, because then there's been more time to bridge the gap and overcome the challenges. But the fact that this is a thing now and becoming a thing now, I do think that we've got the attention of the guys who are going to make solutions to make it cool. And it's going to be on Bitcoin, a part of the Bitcoin currency, literally a Satoshi itself.
So the thing that Crypto Dream said here, I really don't trust where ETH is going. ETH has become very centralized. He didn't say that, but this is me kind of adding on. ETH has become more and more centralized. People are becoming more and more aware of that, which pushes the narrative of Bitcoin stronger than ETH. But there's so many people so heavily invested in ETH. The real question is, will Bitcoin NFTs become easier? Will there be marketplaces as big? Will OpenSea adopt Bitcoin NFTs? Like if those things start to happen and we start to see a move towards Bitcoin NFTs, then I think we do jump into that, because I think Bitcoin NFTs could be much, much stronger play than ETH NFTs. But it's only if it takes. If we come back in 3 weeks and no one's talking about ordinals anymore.
No. It will take if they can overcome the challenges.
Exactly.
The problem is that you don't have the ability to build on Bitcoin like you do on Ethereum. As far as contracts and layers, that's where there's a real challenge here. Like how we're sitting here talking, when I could be buying a node and learning how to mine a Satoshi with a CryptoPunk on it, which is guaranteed for now, right this second, to be worth close to $100,000 or more. It's too complicated for me to do. No, I'm sure I could apply my mind to it. It's too much freaking effort, right? Now, if it stays like that forever, then no, it won't take off. It will always be an elite group of people who know how to do this. And who are those same people going to sell it to if there's only 100,000, like 10,000 NFTs and only like 2,000 people actually know how to use a node, right? Or want to use a node.
I just want to know how they're not minting more. Like I feel like the people who
it's really difficult. No, it must be there must be a limitation on it. Otherwise, everyone would be minting. Yeah. I don't know that answer for sure, but I'm just assuming there must be other, which I don't know how they would enforce, Cade. You see, they've already minted them in order for them to be there, so they would need to be sending them to you. So they would probably know wallet-wise, or they can track and know. Not 100% sure. It's a good question, but I don't think someone could mint all 10,000. I think they probably thought of that. But it is stupid that they haven't done their own thing yet, that they've called it CryptoPunks. It's stupid. It's stupid. Call it Bitcoin Punks and have completely different artwork. Who cares? Then you're saying we are the OGs of Bitcoin NFTs. We're the first 10,000 collection on Bitcoin, but you're not opening yourself up to the risk of down the line potential conflict with Yuga, copyright laws, and whatever it might be,
That one's tough, dude. Anthony says I'm applying my mind to get a node, get in and out before the trend dies. Damn. Yeah, go for it, Anthony. Good luck.
Yeah, look, serious. I think really. I mean, I'm considering it. I got to do a bit of research. I don't know where to even start, but I think I think